What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Download Queue, episode 34. I'm excited. It's been a good week. The group is back together. Our long lost friend, Kyle the Fish, is kind of back in his aquarium where he belongs. It is good to have you with us again, my friend.
Hello, yes. Back after a couple weeks now. A lot. I mean, we had a whole game come out and shut down by
Yeah,
the time since we've last recorded, and it's not a small game, which is crazy. But yeah, it's been crazy. Now California has been day four of like a crazy heat wave. It's been 4 days in a row of 100+ degree weather,
has
which
it? Gross.
yeah. And then there's a fire, pretty big fire, fifth one already, large in the state history, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, so I'm looking north right now because I'm mobile today. I'm in a car. A lot of new stuff happening.
Oh
But yeah, it's
boy.
just smoky up to the northwest. So, and yeah, so it's fun in California. It's the typical California thing. It's hot and we're on fire.
Everything's burning down.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to stream. The AC in my office is out. So we're just, living. We're living.
That's good. We're still in summertime. Things are getting back in order. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I think back to when we were started this podcast, and I had a little when I started joining, and I had a little heater for my feet because my office was so cold. I needed a heater. Man,
God,
California. The sways are what I can't like. The extremes are what gets me.
I'm jealous.
What?
It
You
is.
cannot be jealous of 105 plus weather all week in this asphalt covered hellscape that is Los Angeles
I
with
would.
Southern California.
I would
It's like 30 more degrees than it needs to be because everything's covered in concrete and asphalt.
I would take that after 29 years of 5 foot snow and -70 all the time. Switch off every now and then at least.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fair. But yeah, we're back. Everything's back to normal. Uh if you tuned in last week, you got about 40 minutes of me just rambling to myself like the good old days. We made it through. There's been a lot that's happened. I want to start though. Take it back a little bit. Since we missed out, the beta ended today. How was your time with Black Ops 6 over there, Kyle?
Yeah, we didn't get to play together. I don't know why we just didn't, but that's okay. We just didn't.
I was out of town
I
last
truly
weekend, and then you were exploring the world.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, we just flip flopped. No, I ended up playing both weekends. I think ended level 30. So I maxed out that, got all the little beta rewards that they give you a gun skin and whatnot. But I truly enjoyed my time with this beta. It brought me back to kind of the Halo Infinite beta when they released that, and it was like, oh shit, this is like really solid. Like they got something with this multiplayer, and then we know nothing happened with Infinite, of course. Uh, but yeah, I mean, overall, I really liked my time playing the game. I think the progression was is good. I don't feel I like the weapons a lot better. In titles past in the current multiplayer suite with what Modern Warfare 3 and the current Warzone. Just you have to level up your weapons, and it's a grindy aspect of it in a way that I don't find fun. It annoys me when my weapon isn't as good because I just don't have the attachments unlocked. And by the time I unlock them, I'm like, cool. But the meta moved on, and I want to use this other weapon, but that's level one. So I have no. So do I go back to my? I have a level 20 maxed out weapon, whatever it is. And I have to go back and like, that doesn't appeal to me. That's not why I want to play Call of Duty. So I thought this was better. I do appreciate the attachments in Black Ops 6. They're not going to have as many negative effects because there was just such a trade off with a lot of the weapon attachments. So I like that there's not a trade off. You just get to build the weapon into the style you want.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets explored further down the line. It's a beta, so I hope I would understand if those unlock times and the progression leveling and all that took a little longer in the full release. I mean, they did double XP the last couple days, but progression was pretty quick, and I felt like my weapon was like sick. It's already like full, like my whatever the first assault rifle is. It's like, oh man, I already maxed that out, got all the attachments, not all of them, but the ones I need for that's like sick. Time to move on to the next one. I felt like that was quick in the beta, but not in a bad way. So overall, like I think it's tight. I like the time to kill. I like the different modes. The maps I felt were great. I don't have any ones I didn't like. I was more like I don't want to play team deathmatch because you're just running around looking for people, and sometimes you can't find them, or all of a sudden you're just bomb, like 5 deaths in a row because you just spawn in the wrong spot, right? It's like that's not fun. But other than that, like yeah, I truly enjoyed the beta, and like I cannot wait to see what this full game release is going to be. Not just for the campaign, but just the numbers and like it feels like Call of Duty's back, baby.
Yeah, I did a little dive last week's episode. Going in, I will say I was pretty pessimistic on it. Like I was probably at like a 4 out of 10 for hype. After playing though, especially that first weekend, I'm all in 100%. We'll be there day one. This will be my first like full Call of Duty back since Black Ops 4 essentially. Like this completely changed my outlook on things. Um I agree with you on stuff leveling too fast. I felt that wholeheartedly. Used the default LMG and stuck purely with the default LMG, and I think I got it up to like level 29 or something. So yeah, leveling's very fast. But it's just solid. The Omni movement wasn't as big of a factor as I was expecting it to be, which that was my big issue with the past Modern Warfares recently, of everyone sliding around and just things being too fast. I was still holding my own, topping the charts. I had one uh team deathmatch. I ended up with like 42 kills on our team. Like I was holding it down without having to rely on the movement, which I appreciate. It's not an end all be all situation. And yeah, all the maps are great. I love that they're smaller. I like that they're not as wide open and big as they've been recently. I would rather it be more fast paced. You're in the action as soon as you spawn, getting around. There's still obviously the usual issues of spawn issues and stuff like that, but that's been here for 10 years now. That's never going to change.
Yeah, like the spawn issues were the biggest pain point out of like in the whole beta for me, and that's just expected when you're late in some of the rounds, and it's like, yeah, you know what, we're all spread out. There's you're capturing A, we're capturing C, and B is up for grabs. Everyone's everywhere. So it's just that happens. But man, yeah, that's one of the worst spots.
And I'll say for a beta, I didn't have any major issues. I didn't have anything that was like, oh, this needs like worked on before it comes out. I did have a friend though. I don't know if you experienced anything, but he is playing on. I think he has a Series X as well, and he had like extreme screen tearing, and he actually brought his stuff over to my house. We were playing side by side, kinda, and like his whole textures would be just like pulling back to the sides of the screen. It was weird to see, and it's the only major
Was
issue I saw.
Did you say Series S or
Series
the X?
X.
Oh, okay, okay. I had some screen tearing on my S, but other than that, it wasn't anything bad. It felt like it was before or like at the beginning or towards the end of a match, which to me that kind of made it make sense in some way, but nothing crazy. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's overall great. Like I'm excited for it to be in Game Pass. I'm excited to refocus multiplayer time into something again. Just overall, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can see that they had Treyarch had a 4-year time cycle on this compared to the usual 3. Like you can just overall the feeling, the look of everything, things look, I don't want to say better, but more polished, and things felt better than they usually do to me, I think. And I hope that they
Yeah.
look at this, and even if they have to rotate another team or something, but give them more time than 3 years, especially with how fast technology is advancing. We're getting pro systems soon, as we'll talk about later. We're getting next gen in a few years. Like, give them more time to do a solid product than forcing it out yearly as you have been. I get it's $1 million maker, but
Yeah, but I would love for them to get to a point where they can just do almost like a small expansion if they don't have like the big thing, right? It's just like here's the Warzone update. It also brings new maps to multiplayer for the Black Ops 6. It also brings new weapons and such. So it's not like a brand new game, right? It's not a whole new suite, but it does lift it up, does fluff it up a little bit so they can have a little more time to make the next big thing. Because yeah, it does feel different in a great way. I think it feels a lot better. But I haven't gone back actually to play the other multiplayer, so I got to do that this week just to see the difference because I know the time to kill was faster in the beta. But do you have any interest in hopping into zombies or anything, or what's your hype on the campaign in general as well?
campaign I'll for sure play through. Zombies,
Mhm.
I've never gotten into. I've never, even back when like it started, when they were first doing it,
Really?
it was never my thing. My buddies all did it. My Jeremy in Michigan, his group were big on like the secrets and achievements and doing all that stuff, but it just never was my thing, and I don't know why.
The secrets I never got into, and the story I was like, that's silly. I just want to like around base zombie stuff. Like the fact that they like this new mode has like a it's continuing the story for something is wild to me. But yeah, it looks cool. Other than that, and yeah, the campaign modern. I don't know if you played the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, but I played it with when it got dropped into Game Pass. Man, what a wet fart! Like it's just
That was
like
the
that,
open world
and then
one,
it just
right?
all right. The most recent one,
Yeah.
yeah, whichever I don't know, Modern Warfare 2, 3, whatever it is. Yeah, it was just it's boring.
Yeah, I'm excited
Oh,
for this one with the kind of like stealthy spy stuff they've shown off the trailer at Gamescom, especially like if the story can carry on that whole tone and not just be kind of mindless big action moment to big action moment thing, like awesome, great. Treyarch's always done a great job storyline or campaign storyline wise, so and I'm usually
yeah,
play campaign before multiplayer, even like when Halo Infinite came out, I multiplayer came out beforehand, but as soon as campaign jumped, I was on that for a few days before getting back into it. So I kind of like knocking it out in pieces.
that's fair.
Yeah, not long to wait.
Yeah,
We're a month, little under a month now, I believe.
yeah, it's
So
October 6th, something like that.
yeah,
20.
so not too much longer to wait. Moving along, since you brought it up earlier, Concord's back in the news. Was back in the news.
We're good. That's it. No more.
Well, no more. Since you're remote, I will read this directly. This was September 3rd, directly from PlayStation Blog. Uh, let me find the exact paragraph here. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PS5 and PC. Want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Your support and passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. They offered full refunds on original payments if you had, and refunds through Steam and Epic can also be found if you were purchased on there. But yeah, Concord has been essentially sunset, which completely caught me off guard when this happened. If you would have told me this would have happened a month ago, I would have called you crazy. I at least thought they would have given this a few months to run its course. They're still giving foam stars time. Like, you have one of your initial premier live service titles when you were going towards this initiative is now 10 days, I think it was, total before being essentially canceled. They said they're looking at other options, But if that actually happens, or if that's just kind of padding to make it not sound as bad, who knows? But yeah, how are you feeling when you first saw this?
I mean, definitely, it was surprising. Just it's so quick, right? And I mean, it's a first party PlayStation that they bought it. They bought Firewalk, right?
Yep.
For like they were already developing it, so a little different there. But it's a PlayStation Studio, and they I mean, what they made a controller for it. Like it is a PlayStation game, and yeah, for it to get axed within 2 weeks of its release is insane. Um, but it also, I think, looking back, when you look at the numbers that we only saw for Steam, but come on, you knew based on that, this game just wasn't selling well, and it was not at all getting anywhere near the marks they needed it to. If you're not selling on PC, you kind of lost a good chunk of the player base that you want to hit with a multiplayer shooter like Concord, I think. So it just, yeah, it just is a game that was incredibly fun to play in the beta. Uh, I I think back fondly on it. Obviously, I remember fondly our time together
Yeah, we had great
on those
time
late
playing
nights.
it. We had our issues,
Yeah,
like it wasn't 10 out of 10, but it was
the
solid.
beta. Yeah, and the groundwork definitely is there. So like the fact that they're giving refunds that tells me two things. It's either dead right now, like full stop, or we're gonna look to go free to play. We're gonna shop it around and see if I mean, why don't you just put it on PlayStation Plus and Game Pass? Like put it on Epic for like I make it free to play, right? But if you didn't want to do the free to play stuff, like throw it on PlayStation Plus. I'm surprised they didn't do that first. And if you're desperate, man, just throw it on other subscription services too. Partner with Ubisoft. Like they're everywhere too. Like I don't know. There's things they could do to keep this game going. It was built though to be $40, so I can only imagine the financial logistics now that they're jumping through to like justify one thing keeping staff, one thing, yeah, that's keeping a studio open, right?
The
I mean, your
millions
game
sunk
that is
into it.
all yeah, like they these whole apparently they had a whole year's worth of cinematics planned and like being worked on or ready to go to a degree, like so, there's two things. The quick pull off is, hey, shit, we messed up. Let's pull the plug and we're going to retool it. We'll be back later. If they can get it free to play to coincide with the episode that comes out as part of Secret Level, the Amazon Prime show that's coming out this December, you can get some new life into it. Watch the show and play the free to play game now. It's back, or it's back in time for the show. Like, I hope we see it again, but I think I'm more intrigued on what's next. I'm more intrigued for what the next news story coming out of all this is because it's just so fascinating and there's nothing like it before. Nothing has happened like this before to this degree.
Yeah, that was why it caught me off guard because I'm like, there's never been like we've had some pretty disastrous launches and kind of fumbled first steps out of release for games, but there's never been something on this scale that, like you said, they made a controller, it's getting an episode in Secret Levels, like something of this scale to just disappear overnight,
But what's
essentially.
weird too is like, yeah, and what's weird too is though, I think most people would have said the writing's on the wall though that this isn't going to work, which is the interesting facet of it because from the get go I think it was like really like you're gonna force people to pay $40 for a multiplayer only a 5v5 game. Okay. And then you think about just the whole breadth of other games that are 5v5 multiplayer games that are just free. Yeah. It's just, hey, you got to give people credit for trying something different because it wasn't long ago when people were complaining about all the battle passes in
Yep.
the free to play games. And now it's like the inverse of here's a game that we do not want to give you a battle pass. You pay $40, you get it forever. Sorry, we lied about that. But that was the whole idea. You're going to get it, any characters, it's all there. So it's like, isn't that what people wanted? Was it just done wrong? I believe Concord walked and fell on its face, so some other game can run, and we'll see what that is.
So that's where, since this news came out, I've had two thoughts kind of grow out of it since. And the first goes back to the cancellation of Last of Us factions,
Mhm.
and that not internally meeting their expectations or becoming too big of a project to keep up. And with Bungie, if they actually are helping with or overseeing or assisting or giving knowledge towards these things, how, when they saw the numbers for Concord, allowed it to continue, but not factions. And then the other thing is, you mentioned it, Game Pass. Would Concord, if it comes back as a free to play thing, be sort of that first brick thrown for Sony to go cross platform? It's a
Oh my.
it would be a smaller, not smaller, but it would be kind of a peace offering of sorts to get on the other side without giving them a major IP. And they can play it off as a live service thing, like it's a smaller niche project, but it gets that first foot in the door to test the waters on the other side fully, more so than what they did with Helldivers 2.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think that's great. I think it makes a lot of sense. What a way to like just revitalize a game is. It's our first multi-platform, published on Xbox as well game. It's like that's huge. That'd be huge for Sony and outside of MLB the Show, but that's different. That's
Yeah.
Major League Baseball saying, "Hey, we're gonna pull the license if you don't put this on Xbox," and they're like, "Okay, sorry, we'll put it on Xbox. You're right." Um, yeah, I think the compare like the stuff with Sony Santa Monica, not no, Naughty Dog, Last of Us. That's who we're talking
Yep.
about. The factions, it's different to me because it's like that was a single player studio, and sure, they say in their statement they didn't want to have the identity of their studio change forever and be this live service thing. And like Bungie getting involved, to me, that's the executive saying this is what it is, and Naughty Dog saying, "Oh shoot, yeah, that makes sense. We see how you would have to do that to keep a game going like Destiny on. So we don't want to do that." With Firewalk, I mean, yeah, they've been working on it. They said for 8+ years. I don't know when Sony acquired them, but no matter what, like this is a game that was from the beginning. Excuse me. From the beginning, like a multiplayer game built for that, as opposed to taking an IP, taking a fun idea with the multiplayer being a part of your single player game, taking that and making it its own game is so different. Um, I think they were smart though, in hindsight, right? Like I think this just shows even more so like, look, like this isn't it. Making anything and everything a multiplayer game to to make that Fortnite money to whatever degree you can just isn't what every game needs. uh, so yeah, I don't think it would have been interesting to see what factions would have been, and especially with the like if they hey factions like is it coming out next year? If it was still coming out, right? Concord falls on his face, and then factions sitting there on the horizon. Oof, that would have been rough. So going back to the Concord on Game Pass, I hope so.
It would be cool. It would be
I just it's good for the IP. It's good for the brands, in my opinion. Sony is just like putting their head down, saying nothing, but they are slowly opening the walls up and putting things cross platform. So I
it's
just what a way to like revitalize it.
it's interesting times. Like I said, I'm happy that the announcement of this on the 3rd wasn't met with, hey, the studio's closing. Like, I'm happy they're still giving it time and doing something to turn it around, especially with how this year has
Yeah,
gone. So I
I'd
would.
have to imagine it's a free to play push. Like, how many people did you see or podcasts you listen to shows where they mentioned it? So it's like the people in the studio have to be thinking about it, and it's like what, let's try it before we close it down. It's just yeah. How long could they delay any type of layoffs?
We
Do
will.
you think we So I was going to say, do you think to close it out? Do you think we will see Concord playable by the end of this year, or we just get an announcement, or anything? I feel like we have to get something with the Amazon show, not necessarily tied in, but like because that show is still happening, that episode's still going to happen. I feel like an update will have to have happened by then or by the end of the year.
If not by the end of the year, I would say at least by February, like early February next year.
Hmm.
The issues the game has that everyone brings up, like with the price tag and just getting people in the door, that's not, in my eyes, necessarily something that needs like full back end reworks. Not to say it's like flip of the switch easy to turn all that around, but it's not going back to the drawing board sort of levels. Um,
No, it's just like a monetization
yeah,
thing
I think it.
in to me.
I think it goes to, if they were looking at this already ahead of time, how far along they would have been. So yeah, if not this year, at least early next. And even if it's not by the end of this year, I would expect them to give an update of some sort of, this are the changes we are doing for 2025, just to do damage control, keep it in the news cycle at least, so it doesn't completely fade away. So,
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see.
well,
I agree with most of that.
yeah, it was wild. Like you said, there's never been anything like this, and if you would have told me a month ago this is how this planned out, crazy talk. I'll tell you where we're not hearing from Concord next, Kyle, and that's tomorrow at the not PS5 Pro, PS5 Pro unveiling that Sony announced today.
Their special limited edition PS Pro Concord console.
Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah,
it's still coming out.
this
Sorry.
morning Sony came out. Nice little blog post. Join us for a technical presentation hosted by Mark Cerny on September 10th, bright and early, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. For what, you may ask? It's PS5 Pro. If anyone says different, it's PS5 Pro. This has been the most non-secretive secret thing of this year, I feel, at this point.
I mean, I didn't see the unlisted video called PS5 Pro. Did you?
I didn't see that, and I didn't see the PS5 Pro image in their 30th anniversary celebration picture they released last week.
Yeah, no, they're looking at it. I mean, it's what Sony does. Like, the more I am not a PlayStation gamer. You know, my PS4 Pro was my first console. God of War 2018 was the first PlayStation exclusive game I beat. New to it all, but like when you think back to the cadence, they have a PlayStation. Then they just the 4 came out with a Pro about this time.
Yep.
COVID's weird. They're coming out with a Pro at this time. Like, it's just what they've been doing. It makes sense for them. I'm intrigued to see what it is. Is it just? I mean, yeah. What is
So
it? I don't
that's
think it's needed.
no, that's why I kind of wanted to throw this in here, because there is some weird things about it. I believe they've said this will be just a 9-minute presentation, like very short to the point. Um, when Mark Cerny did the PS4 Pro one and PS5, it is very like you're in a business meeting monotone type stuff. But there's been talks this year also of a DualSense version 2 with longer battery life that could be thrown in with this, which sounds good. But then also today they increased the prices of the base DualSense controllers, which doesn't make sense to me. And then there's also been rumors, mumblings, discussion online of people expecting this Pro version this time around to be significantly more expensive than what people are used to, which I also
Mhm.
find interesting and something that I'm honestly on the side of. I feel this being, with the controller increases today, with game prices before, if the industry is going how they are, where Xbox will be a smaller and smaller part, and PlayStation is the big viable option to
But
increase prices and make it that premium thing And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow they'd announce a price of this of 600. I've seen leaks, quote unquote, of 680, 690, $700 for this. So it'll be interesting to watch and see the reaction if any of this happens.
Yeah, the pricing is always so interesting because, like, what are you upscaling? I mean, what it's about $50 to $100 for a disk drive across all the consoles. It seems it's like, what are you going to add? What are you going to take away to justify any type of price increase? It's just, how is it going to perform the games better? Like, I look, we're going to talk AstroBot as well. I haven't played it, but I've seen it. It looks great, but that game doesn't need a more powerful console because it needs a more powerful console, right? But that's probably the best PlayStation game. That's one of the top ones of this generation. It's going to land, I would say. Um, that is a PlayStation title exclusive, you know. But like outside of that, yeah, I just don't. Same thing with the Xbox Series X. You know, I don't think these consoles are needing these things unless you're saying like every game needs to be 60 frames, which I'm not of that opinion. But I guess if the games are going to give you an option, maybe you should just not even have the option. So I guess that's my statement.
That's my statement.
I guess I just don't. I don't understand. I don't. I neither agree or disagree with having a new Pro console.
Yeah, I pulled up some numbers from Steven Totillo, who I follow on Twitter. Uh, as of May of this year, there's still over 50 million active PlayStation users still on PS4. Which
That's crazy.
it's wild, and I'm sure Xbox is probably similar. But what
100% because
are
like Xbox is even more cross-platform or
yeah,
cross-generation.
that's where I'm like, what could they possibly announce for a Pro that would get those last people hanging out, holding out for a new console to finally jump ship? If the PS5's lineup of games hasn't done it yet, with no near future track record of what they're going to announce next, like Astrobot's out now, that's it. Like, we have nothing else from other studios pretty much. If just a Pro model with slight upgrades isn't going to do it, then why take the time to do it all? It's it's just weird to me. The whole thing's questionable. I don't understand. But it's Sony being Sony, you know? It's
Well,
Sony.
even the Slim model, I was like, why do you have a PlayStation 5 Slim? And then what? A year later or months later, they have the seemingly Pro. I mean, we're all just assuming at this point they could just be calling it the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it's something totally different, which would be amazing.
It is actually the
Just a
PS6.
new. Oh, I was gonna say it's just like controllers. It's just
Oh,
it's a VR headset. It's something like that, and it's just they called it that just to throw everyone off.
that would be
Yeah,
wild.
I can't imagine honestly this being anything super crazy. I think the price is going to be the biggest talking point, and then it's just going to be like, cool. Some of my games will always be 60 frames per second. Like, I just that's cool. You know, the PS5 had 8K on the box and doesn't hit 8K all the time in any game. So
Ever.
it's just like it's just a marketing thing. So we'll see whatever this presentation is at 8 in the morning
Are
for
you
me.
on how are you feel about the rumors as far as pricing go? Do you think it's going to be as high as people are saying?
What was the slim was 550? Is it like 5 to 550 right now? Like
The
eight
PS5
and then
now?
yeah, or is it? I guess I
Uh,
could pull it up too.
you're a
Because like I
mobile.
know they got a price increase up in Japan, right? And then
Yep, Japan
they upped the
increased.
prices of the dual sends. So I mean, things are getting more expensive. They are pricing things up. I mean, if anything, this is just going to be the same.
The
Uh,
Slim's 500.
so it's probably. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't expect lower than that. I could see this taking the 500 spot, like in the years past. Like, hey, here's a new console, everything gets bumped, or the iPhone model, right? Everything gets bumped down a price slot once the new one comes out. So I could see them doing that. That would tell me they're like, all right, we want to keep this cheap, but yeah, if it's anything more than that 550, 600, which I think is a possibility, then that tells me they view this as like a premium thing. And it does say like, hey, these next batch of consoles might be pretty, might be close to, might be 600 flat. I think if you get the 700, that's insane. I don't think we'll see consoles that expensive. That is going to be a PC at that point. That'll be an Xbox branded PC for 750.
Play
With
your
a full
PlayStation
PC,
games through Steam.
yeah, you have full PC, and then you press your Xbox sidebar button, and boom, now it's your console. Done. But yeah, I don't think consoles can go even 600. Even yeah, I think 500
PS
is like a for a
PS3
console to
was
me.
600.
Which one?
PS3 was. That was part of that fumble out the
Yeah, I didn't
gate.
buy it.
I didn't.
You saw it. It was like what, $600 for a Blu-ray player,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna get the Xbox where I just played, or I'm gonna get the 360 where I just played Halo, Gears of War.
That's, like I said, the history they've had is why I kind of feel like it will be higher. Because it's that Sony's far ahead in the lead, quote unquote, again. They're the top dog, top player. Nothing can touch them. And that's when they make their weird mistakes that slowly, not chip away, but pull them back in their place a little bit. So that's
Yeah,
why I'm kind of on the side of the rumors of higher pricing, but not long to wait if you're listening to this live. We have a few people hanging out with us. Thank you. Uh, Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. So we will
yeah.
know the future.
It's the price I want to know, and then any AI super sampling tech, frame generation stuff. Like, are we going to start seeing that now, or is this a next gen thing? Because I think that's the next evolution. That frame stuff on PC with the graphics cards that can do it is pretty insane. It's really cool. So that's a cool use of AI. I've talked about that before, but those are the two things I'm looking out of that. And I can't wait for PSVR 3. That's all this video is, baby.
Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Uh, you're out and about recently. Did you have time to look at the Destiny news earlier today?
Did I ever?
Did you have? Okay, good. I was worried because this stuff is way above my head as far as what this all means. Um, but it's pretty much an update to how they're doing content, right? Change of plans, change of output, change of how they're doing patches.
Yeah. So for Destiny, they said since Shadowkeeping, that's pretty consistent. But basically, they've been doing yearly expansions and versions of that since the game ever came out. It used to be the big fall update, then they moved it to spring, and now it's all over the place with delays. But with Final Shape, yeah, now they changed it. We didn't know what was next after their episodes. They have 3 episodes this season or this year, which is basically what the seasonal model was, but now it's just drip fed over 3 acts, which is fine. I still haven't beat it, so that's telling you how it's going. It's been done for a while now. uh, but instead of one big campaign expansion that they release once a year, they're going to aim to have 2 medium-sized expansions over the course of a year, with some other stuff thrown about. But with 4 expansions that are free to everyone, so 2 medium-sized story stuff throughout the year, with 4 expansions that have free updates and sandbox stuff and things. But what's interesting about like the new narrative direction is they say it is they're introducing a non-linear story. It is a non-linear character-driven adventure. With the Final Shape, that's the last expansion, you went A to B to C to D. This time you can complete it in any order. So it's I mean, it totally changes what the narrative side of Destiny is to me. I personally love the Final Shape campaign. I love that it was start to finish done, and then you can go do the Destiny stuff. But now it seems like, I mean, now they're saying that's not how it's going to be. You're going to be able to do these out of order in any way. Uh, and yeah, and the story will evolve from there. So I'm not sure how that is even going to work. Are they just 4 or 5 standalone little things that each like dovetail into one final mission? That's cool, I guess. But yeah, so that's the two big things. I mean, that's the big change there, and they're going to see where that goes. Um, it's interesting. Like they just talked about it. It's just a blog post, really. But I'm still not really sure how I feel about it. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what those fully are, but it I get splitting across the year, having two medium expansions, so you don't have everything run out pretty quickly. But I also feel like that's where Destiny lost its step when they tried to have it be yearly and like you had to play every week and such. And I think that's where it lost its way. So maybe this is the middle ground, but I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, a total change to what I perceive as Destiny.
Yeah, so I have the graphic pulled up on video here, and they pretty much announced through 2020, like early 2026, their plans. As you said, 2 expansions. First one dropping summer 2025. Next one winter 2025. Codename Apollo and Behemoth, respectively. The expansions will include new stories, locations, missions, weapons, gear, raids, and dungeons. And then they have laid out the seasonal updates. You mentioned the 4 year, which will be summer 2025, fall, winter, spring 2026. Those will have new and reprised activities. So I wonder if that's like vaulted content coming back in some way. New
That's what the
gear. Is it?
reprise
Okay.
would be.
New gear and artifact mods, new modifiers and challenges, new sandbox meta, and new events. And then with each of those will be a rewards pass with exotic weapon and ornaments, legendary weapons and armor ornaments, gear upgrade resources, cosmetics, and more. So just battle passes, seasonal battle passes.
Yeah, like really, it's all like yeah, they're just making one expansion, splitting it into two. It seems like so they're a little smaller, and then everything else is like what they already are doing. It seems like, but yeah, they just. I mean, what is that? What are the raids? What are the new locations? Are we still in the same solar system? Are we on new planets? If you're having two medium-sized expansions, do you have a dual team? Are you flipping back and forth between the teams, or it's like we know the development problems with Bungie, so I think that's like the cloud over this all is like, this is cool. I'm always intrigued. You have me. I'm interested to see what this is going to be, but you had one of your highest rated expansions and now you're changing the whole formula. I understand why, but there's reasons for that. So this is like all right, this is step one. Let's see where you take it from here.
Yeah, me reading this, I had to chuckle actually. It literally is what WoW is doing. And what I've mentioned on here before, the smaller in between time of expansions, quote unquote, smaller kind of scale, so it's more focused and nailed down content with smaller weights in between. Because, yeah, like you said, it was Last Shape or Final Shape was highest reviewed thing, but went through how many delays, people had to wait how long extra to get to it. You scale that back a bit with a more focused vision, and hopefully if things are working right in the back end, that eliminates that source of delay and is a more focused, better product in the end, hopefully. I can see the reasoning behind it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the same. Yeah, I mean, leadership's still leadership. Misdirection is still misdirection. So that's where I feel with Bungie and Destiny right now.
Yeah. And who knows? We announced this now. By the end of 2025, this could change again. Sea of Thieves did something similar. They were doing seasonal content, and they did that for about a year, and then they switched off to something else after that year. So plans change, roadmaps
Oh
change.
yeah,
delivery of
changed it.
content. Yeah. So
Yeah. No, this is they're in a time of change and flux.
it'll be interesting. I'm curious how this. I've seen some other rumors, leaks, quote unquote, online about Marathon and that not being in such a good spot. So I wonder if this kind of has a hand in that, or is in response to that not going the best on their end. But that's something we'll never know. Speculate on.
You don't know that. It's something we'll talk about publicly.
10 years from now, we'll get a deep dive.
Oh, I hope the 30 for 30.
There you go. But that is all the major news stories we had to catch up on. It's been a couple big things. Other than that, we've just been playing games. Have you? I won't keep you here too much longer since you're mobile and we're running on 50 minutes. But you played anything you want to? You would play anything you want to talk about?
I started Persona 3.
Did you?
And it's very I get why people compared it to Hinterberg. I'm only like an hour in at the most, but already I was like, oh, okay. And I have no idea what's going on with the story. I'm so confused. I love it. So more on that later. But Dungeons of Hinterberg got me to try Persona 3.
Is there a reason you went with 3 over 5?
It's on Game Pass and it's blue.
Isn't
And
is 5 not on Game Pass anymore?
Tactical might be, but
Oh, okay.
Persona 3 is the one they've been pushing.
Okay.
And they give you like Game Pass perks for something. So that's the one. That's why I downloaded that one.
I'm interested to catch up with you on that later. I started 5 a year or two ago, and I got probably 6 quote unquote bosses in before I absolutely raged and gave up.
That's funny. Yeah, see, I think I've had like 1 or 2 combat things at most. So still early on.
Huh. That's fun.
We'll talk about that more.
Well, I'll tell you on
But other than that, go for it.
No, go ahead. You got the floor.
I was just gonna say, I'm kind of like between stuff right now. I mean, the Call of Duty beta is now done. I've been dipping the toe into Starfield, but I'm not doing too much in preparation for the expansion in a couple, like 3 weeks now, on the 30th.
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today? Oh, cool. Look at that. My birthday's on a Monday. That sucks. Just kidding. I really don't care. But yeah, so I've been off and on going back into that, getting one of my mining and some of my outposts set up so I can get some cargo links back and forth so I can build more stuff. But other than that, yeah, I guess I'm like just waiting for Starfield. Outside of that, we'll see how far I get attached to Persona 3. I think Persona 3 also was looking for something I could play on my phone that's really simple. And after looking at a little bit of the gameplay, I was like, I could probably do this with just touch controls at the end of the day. So I think that kind of appealed to me as well. Just I want to be able to just whip something up at night and like, let me just play a little bit of Persona on my phone. I don't have a Steam Deck, so I can't do that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. How about you? What have you been playing and diving into? Oh, there was a Madden trial. I gotta talk about that. There was a Madden trial this weekend, free to play weekend.
Yeah.
I got my hit in. I played so much.
Any massive changes?
Nah. It's
the
roster.
More the same.
It's a whole new roster, buddy.
Oh boy.
A whole new year. No. It's Madden is Madden every year, and still Madden, and it was fun. But I gotta wait for Game Pass.
Gotta wait for Game Pass.
But yeah, so that was something I played a lot of this weekend. It was Madden and Call of Duty beta back and forth. And like, man, these both end this weekend. I gotta play them.
Hey, whatever works. Yeah, on my end of things, I've had the most dramatically different ends of the spectrum of games I've been playing. If anyone follows me on Twitter, I last weekend returned and eventually finally finished The Last of Us for the very first time. Uh, like you said, I got PlayStation very late. I missed a lot of PS3 exclusives. I missed a lot of PS4 exclusives for multiple reasons. I've had Persona 1, or not Persona, I'm watching the video. Last of Us 1 remastered on PS5 for about a year now. Started it, put it down, finally returned and beat it. And let me tell you, Kyle, if I were to write a review for this game back when it came out, I probably would have been burned at the stake online. I had such a dramatically different time and experience playing this than I feel everyone else did that I had to write about it. So I have a new article up on the site talking about missing out on things when they're hot. Uh, Things from the combat not really clicking in my head to actively struggling with just getting through slower parts of the game and learning how they handle stealth and just management of resources as a whole. This was one of the first games I had to drop difficulty down to easy just to get through it because I was having such a frustrating time and wanted to give up at multiple points. And it was weird. We spent the past however many years listening to every outlet, content creator, gamer, online person talk about how amazing and revolutionary The Last of Us was, but going to it now in 2024, a decade later, it didn't hold up for me, sadly. And I am in no real rush to jump into part two, which sucks to say, but that is how things are, I guess.
Nah, I get it. I had not played it until the show, and then was playing it with the show, but then just let the show pass it up and never went back to the game. It's just it's clunky. Even the remastered, it feels clunky. It feels like you're really bad at aiming and shooting, and it's like not fun. I didn't find it fun. The story was cool, but like, yeah, no, I totally agree. And the first one's supposed to be like faster too, and the second one's apparently super long. In comparison, it's like, oh, I don't want more of what The Last of Us gameplay is.
Yeah.
I feel like what was revolutionary about it is the story, is the mocap is, the shock start of it all, and then just kind of picking up and going, and the themes it explores, like in a video game, of course, like that's crazy. And for it to be like mocapped and fully acted and such, like that is what set it apart. You were able to finally play a little movie, which is really cool. Yeah, outside of that, like the gameplay does not stand the test of time. Performance, stories, yep, those will always remain. But yeah, I think in time, like it's hard to go back to play The Last of Us specifically. I just think games are just better.
Yeah, and that's
And those
why
types of games too, narrative games are just better now, I feel.
yeah, that's why I did my whole piece on it because like you said, the story, like I feel if I would have been completely clueless to what it was and the beats and surprises and twists, like that might have made a difference. Like I said, spending literally a decade nonstop hearing about it, I feel like my expectations are so high to a point that wouldn't have hit no matter what. And it was a similar thing with God of War for me. I got to God of War 2018 years after the fact. I played through it once and I never really looked back and looked at it again. But I was there for Ragnarok day one and I platinumed that game. Had a great time. It was in the moment. Everyone else was playing it, experiencing it at the same time. I didn't feel like I missed out on the opportunity to get into it then. Just a weird feeling to express and like fully nail down, but
Yeah, well, it definitely, like sometimes, yeah, games become something else in your head based on other people's explanations. And yeah, when people talk about how great a game is like The Last of Us and you play it, it's like doesn't it feel like how people are talking about it? It's like, but the context in when this game released and everything, yeah, it was and will forever be one of the best games ever made. But doesn't mean Pac-Man is as crazy intense and technically beautiful. Actually, it's technically beautiful in the simplicity, but you know what I was trying to get at with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But on the other spectrum of things, we got AstroBot this week, Kyle.
you got AstroBot.
I got AstroBot. The world
I
got
could not give a
AstroBot.
fuck about this little robot.
Oh my god. This, you said it with Dungeons of Hinterberg, but this will probably end up being my game of the year this year.
That
Uh,
makes sense. Yeah. Now everything I'm seeing of it, how it looks phenomenal. I mean, and just from a visual standpoint, God, this game is beautiful. Like Astrobot looks phenomenal. It looks so great, and the fact that it celebrates like PlayStation as a brand and as a thing, and as a yearly like whatever word I'm trying to use there. Like that's incredible and like really fun. But I haven't played it. You have.
yeah, it's obviously Astro Playroom included with your PS5 if you have a PS5.
I do.
Very much of the same. If you're coming in expecting this to be some sort of big change, epic, you're not going to get that, but it's more nailed down, refined, beautiful use of haptics and the dual sense as a whole, and just doubling down on what Team Asobi did so well before. Um, there is over 80 levels in this game, so very wide variety of things to experience. Everything from basic platforming to a very, very extreme challenge levels that people are posting videos of online and being stuck at for 20, 30 minutes at a time, and like on the same level of something like Mario Star Road levels in the 2D games. So there's a variety of difficulty and just overall layout. If you're worried about this being something for kids, there is that difficulty curve if you want it, if you're a real gamer, quote unquote. Um, yeah, it's just so packed full of charm. You are collecting and rescuing. I think it's over 300 other bots that crash out of your ship when your PlayStation 5 ship is attacked, which kind of sends you on your journey to begin with. And some of them are basic, little look just like you do, basic normal bots doing their thing, dancing, wanting to be touched on the butt. Bring back Master Cheeks. But the other half, which everyone is pointing out to, and that you mentioned with the celebration of PlayStation, the other bots are cameos, essentially. They're dressed up as PlayStation characters. They are themed around PlayStation franchises. They are a visual representation museum of PlayStation's history, which is so fitting for the 30-year anniversary. And there was numerous times where I'd be playing and the most unexpected PS2 cameo of a game I rented one time way back when showed up, and I goofy smile on my face from it. Uh, if anyone on PS2 remembers Mr. Mosquito, that little bastard shows up here for no reason whatsoever. But it's fun. I grew up and started gaming because of 3D platformer collectathon things. I have a Banjo Kazooie tattoo on my leg. I play as many 3D platformers, collecting things as I can. And recently, outside of small indies, they have been neglected. So getting something on this scale from a major partner with big funding behind it and marketing and the time and polish it deserves was just a treat to experience. I'm haven't quite rolled credits, we're close, but it'll be definitely something I aim to platinum, and I could see it being something I return to on a yearly basis to at least replay some levels after this. So, shout out to Astrobot, shout out to Team Asobi. If you are looking for just fun, a game that is fun, There's no mind-blowing world-ending story. There's nothing else behind it. It's just what games are designed to be, and that is at their core toys, games, whatever, to bring people together and just have a fun time, enjoyable time.
Love it. All right, Xbox. Now you do one.
God, don't say that. I don't even know if I want one from Xbox. Like,
I want one, but then halfway through, like it's like cutesy and everything, and then like Doom guy shows up, and it's just a Doom game. Sorry, the
just
demons from hell broke in, and how it's just Doom. Nah, it'd be interesting to see if I mean I think Xbox does have like a family platformer, just a family game gap, but with the Game Pass they do fill that in with like a bunch of third party stuff. So and they have Minecraft,
yeah, that's
but it's definitely different. But yeah, I just feel family games or kids games are just it's free to play, so here you go, or it's Mario, you know.
yeah, and
So it's
that's
cool to see something that's like family friendly, something that can be multiple ages to varying degrees of their player skill and whatnot. But it was cool to see that a lot of people just kept echoing Nintendo, and it's like that's awesome. Like that's what it needed to be and needed to echo, and it's cool that they hit that. It seems.
yeah, it sounds dumb to say, but it's what when we go into new console cycles and we get the marketing lingo about this is what the new thing does, this is what your controller can do, these are the new features, like this does all of that in such great detail, and it's stuff that we don't get in other games. Like when you're walking on a beach or rolling a ball on spikes and you get those haptics in the controller on the palms and like feel each individual thing kind of roll across seamlessly. Like that's the kind of stuff that we were marketed years before, and not a lot of games, if less than a handful, actually incorporate that stuff. But they do all of that. Every turn you take, every level you jump into is doing something new and creative and introducing some new gameplay mechanic that's there for a short while. It may just be in a level or two, or it comes back multiple times, but every time it feels like it's a new experience. And it's it's just cool. I don't know. It does so much with what it has that every time it manages to accomplish something that you weren't expecting, like it feels like it was done with the utmost care and respect and love of the IPs, Astro itself, of PlayStation. Like it's just top notch all the way around. And as far as like the site goes, it is the first I posted our review today, the first 10 out of 10 I have given for our site. So like I said, it will be, if not game of the year, it'll be hard thinking ahead of what would take this number one spot for me this year when we get to that time later on.
Ooh, yeah, because I have my contenders, my contender hard. It's Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Dungeons Hinterberg.
After that gameplay trailer, the 20-minute gameplay thing for Dragon Age, I was like, oh shit,
Things could change.
I get. I'm like, looking cool. It's looking cool. So
Which
we'll see if that one can land.
there's Dragon Age, there's Duty, there's Indiana Jones, like
I don't
Assassin's
think
Creed.
Duty will be a or game of the year type thing, unless it's like experience wise. So I get if you're like, no, I you end up dumping all the time in it. It's like, no, that's my game of the year. I get it, but
Yeah. Well, there's still some heavy hitters. Like year's not done yet, and it'll be we got to discuss eventually how we're gonna handle game of the year stuff when we get there. But
yeah, we do have to actually have
I'm
a little
excited.
production meeting.
I'm excited. That's
It'd
it.
be fun.
That's been my week. Last of Us, Doom and Gloom, and now AstroBot. Joyful, happy times.
I love it. Oh, I did hop into Age of Empires Mythology, and I immediately closed it. I've decided those games aren't for me. I
Out,
remember talking about I was excited for it coming out, and
yep, out on Game Pass.
it's just real time. Yeah, real time strategy. I think I'm just not. I think I have to have like the theme hit. I've played and beat Halo Wars. I've loved them, but something about like I just can't get back into an Age of Empires. But yeah, that is out now on Game Pass.
I feel that. It's funny you say that. I last week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, before I started The Last of Us again, I actually picked up and downloaded Halo Wars 2, funnily enough. Because I played the first one, never got to the second one, and that's kind of been like my side game in the evenings. But yeah, very much same thing. It's if it wasn't a Halo thing or like something I was interested in before, I probably would have dropped off myself.
Yeah, yeah. The campaign stuff feels too handholdy. But then when you go into like a skirmish, it's just like you're just playing. And I don't want to play multiplayer in those games all the time. So
Oh God, no. The people that play
yeah,
multiplayer in that only do multiplayer in that, and you will
sickos.
feel it.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, I haven't played a multiplayer game in those type of games in years because of that, and I know exactly what it would be like. Just be overwhelmed or like find them finally, and they're all turtled the fuck up. It's like, what the hell? Why do you
Right,
have like 50 buildings?
be
but
rightfully humbled.
but yeah. So well, yeah, we'll
Okay,
see.
we'll see. With that, I think that'll end episode 34 here. Um, for me personally, this week, still streaming WoW on the side, still working through that story, still having a great time. As I mentioned, we have uh, AstroBot review on the site now, so appreciate it if you go and check that out. Share some love, as well as my piece on The Last of Us and God of War we were talking about earlier is also posted. Yeah, just keeping up on things. Like I said, we're entering a busy time, fall season, quote unquote review season. We don't really do a ton of reviews here, but we'll have some cool things coming up hopefully for everyone tuning in. Kyle will be back streaming this week. We're gonna have you back on Twitch.
I hope so. It's been way too damn long. But in the in our this whole episode, we started looking at a fire. A new one has started and has billowed in Southern California.
Good
So
lord.
I looked online at Cal Fire. Come join me if you want. There's like 4 fires in the greater SoCal area that are causing issues, and there's like a bunch going on. But yeah, I was able to see this plume of smoke. So it's supposed to be a lot colder this week. It's supposed to drop like 20 to 30 degrees by tomorrow, as opposed to the 100 plus we've been dealing with.
So it's
So yeah,
gonna
I
be what we
want
were
to be
today.
out. Exactly. So I want to get back out to the office, the stream, but like given all the smoke, who knows? All the heat, who knows? Maybe it'll block out the sun and we'll just be living in internal darkness.
This is wild. I just pulled up the map myself. This. Why do people live here?
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? Like when you look at Cal Fire, like you're like, whoa, there's like 6,000 active. There's like 14,000 active fires. What? All over the state and country. It's crazy.
God. Well,
Yeah.
stay safe.
Well, when you
Stay
don't let
alive.
things burn, this is what happens.
Yeah.
You know, Smokey the Bear is the reason all this is happening because they banned any type of burning and clearing the forest floors. I used to be a program director in a camp.
God. Well,
Anyways.
hopefully you'll be able to join us next week again.
Oh yeah, no,
Survive the fires.
dude. If if the fires directly affect me, things are drastically wrong in California. I am in nowhere near these fires. You know, it would have to go through thousands of homes to get to me first. You know, so it'd be hell if we were in danger of these fires. It's just a hassle.
Just a hassle, he says.
It gets ashy inside the house. You know, you just smell smoke. All right, I could keep talking about this fire.
Yeah, yeah. Stay alive. We'll have you next week. Everyone else, happy gaming. We'll catch you next Sunday.